A strange and beautiful young woman sat alone in her room staring at her computer screen. Her name was Shy. She had recently installed the latest version of a software that could read her emotions just by looking at her face. "Wow," she said, her eyes wide with surprise. "It actually works." The software had just analyzed her facial expressions, voice tones, and body language, and had correctly identified the emotion she was feeling. Surprise. Shy had been skeptical at first, but now she couldn't believe how accurate it was. "How does it know?" she whispered, unsure of whether to be amazed or terrified. This new emotion recognition technology is one of the latest developments in artificial intelligence. And like many new technologies, it has both positive and negative implications for society. On the one hand, this technology could be used to help improve our understanding of human emotions. By analyzing facial expressions, voice tones, and body language, computers could potentially become much better at understanding how people feel. This could be especially useful for people who have difficulty expressing themselves, or for those who are trying to understand the emotions of others. For example, this technology could be used to help people with autism spectrum disorder, often struggle with social interactions, understand the emotions of those around them. It could also be used to help people with depression or anxiety, who may not be able to recognize their own emotions. Additionally, this technology could be used in marketing and customer service to help businesses better understand the emotions of their customers. By recognizing when a customer is frustrated or unhappy, businesses could take steps to improve their experience. It could also be used in healthcare to help monitor patients who are unable to express their feelings, such as those with dementia or in a coma. But on the other hand, this technology also has some very real dangers. If emotion recognition technology is used without the consent or knowledge of individuals, it could be a major invasion of privacy. Facial recognition technology is already being used by law enforcement agencies around the world to track and identify individuals in public spaces. And if this technology is combined with emotion recognition, it could be used to target individuals based on their emotional state. Moreover, emotion recognition software is only as good as the data it was trained on. And if the data is biased or inaccurate, the software will be as well. This could lead to the software making incorrect assumptions about an individual's emotional state, which could then lead to discrimination or other forms of unfair treatment. So what does this mean for us? How should we think about the development and use of emotion recognition technology? First of all, we need to be aware of the potential benefits and drawbacks of this technology. Emotion recognition technology has the potential to revolutionize the way we interact with computers and machines, but it also poses serious risks to our privacy and autonomy. We need to be aware of these risks and take steps to mitigate them. We also need to be aware of the limitations of this technology. As I mentioned earlier, emotion recognition software is only as good as the data it was trained on. And no matter how advanced the technology is, it will never be able to understand human emotions as well as humans do. We need to remember that machines can never truly understand or feel emotions the way we do. They can only mimic and simulate them. Finally, we need to be aware of the ethical implications of this technology. If we allow machines to become too good at reading our emotions, we may be giving up our autonomy and privacy to them. We need to make sure that this technology is used in a way that respects our boundaries and protects our rights. So what can we do to ensure that this technology is used ethically and responsibly? First of all, we need to demand transparency from the companies and institutions that are developing this technology. We need to know how the technology works and what data it is being trained on. We also need to make sure that there are strong privacy protections in place to prevent our emotions from being collected or used without our consent. We also need to promote media literacy and critical thinking skills, so that people are aware of the potential biases and limitations of emotion recognition technology. We need to make sure that people understand that machines can never truly understand emotions the way we do, and that we should not blindly trust their analysis. Finally, we need to encourage the development of ethical guidelines and regulations for the use of emotion recognition technology. These guidelines and regulations should be developed in collaboration with experts in artificial intelligence, ethics, and law to ensure that this technology is used safely and responsibly. As we move forward, it is important that we remember that technology is a tool that can be used for good or for bad. It is up to us to ensure that this powerful technology is used ethically and responsibly. We need to be aware of the potential risks and biases of emotion recognition technology, but we also need to be aware of the opportunities it presents. With careful planning and execution, this technology can be used to improve our lives in many ways. But if we are not careful, it could be used to control and manipulate us. The choice is ours. Let's hope we make the right one. Shai thought about all the ways this technology could be used, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. She knew that it had the potential to be used for good, but she also knew that it could be used for bad. One of the things that bothered her the most was the idea that this technology could be used to invade people's privacy. Imagine a world where every move you made was tracked and analyzed, and where every emotion you felt was recorded and stored in a database. It was a scary thought, and it made her shiver. Also worried about the potential for this technology to be used to manipulate people. Imagine a world where advertisers could use this technology to target you based on your emotions, or where employers could use it to monitor their employees' emotions to ensure productivity. It was a dystopian nightmare, and it made her feel sick to her stomach. Despite her fears, Shai knew that this technology was here to stay, and she realized that the best way to deal with it was to understand it and learn how to use it to her advantage. She started to experiment with the software, testing its accuracy and seeing how it reacted to different emotions. She was surprised by how well it worked, and she could unhelp but feel a sense of wonder. She realized that this technology could be used to help people in countless ways. For example, it could be used to help people with mental health issues, track their emotions, and provide them with the help they need. Or it could be used to help marketers understand their customers better and provide them with a more personalized experience. Or it could be used in healthcare to help monitor patients and provide them with the best possible care. Shai was excited by the possibilities, but she also knew that this technology needed to be used with caution. She started to research the ethical implications of this technology, and she learned about the potential for bias, discrimination, and privacy violations. She realized that this technology needed to be used responsibly, and that it was up to her to make sure that it was. She started to speak out about the importance of using this technology ethically and responsibly. She wrote articles, gave lectures, and even testified before Congress. She became a leading voice in the movement to ensure that this technology was used for the benefit of humanity, and as time went on, Shai's efforts paid off. The government passed laws to protect people's privacy and prevent discrimination based on their emotions. Companies developed ethical guidelines for the use of emotion recognition technology, and academic institutions created new programs to study the ethics of AI. Shai looked back on her journey, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. She had helped to ensure that this powerful technology was used for the benefit of humanity, and she knew that her work had made the world a better place. But she also knew that the fight wasn't over. There were still people who were using this technology for nefarious purposes, and she was determined to stop them. She continued to speak out, to raise awareness, and to call for action. And as she did, she inspired others to do the same. People from all walks of life came together to demand a better future, a future where technology was used to empower people, not to control them. Shai stood on a stage, addressing a crowd of thousands of people. "We are the generation that will define the future of this technology," she said, her voice ringing with conviction. "We will ensure that it is used to help people, not to harm them. We will ensure that it is used to create a better world, not to tear it down." The crowd cheered, and Shai knew that she was right. They were the generation that would shape the future of this technology. They would ensure that it was used to create a better world for everyone. And as Shai looked out at the crowd, she saw hope. Hope for the future. Hope for humanity, and hope for a better world. Hope you've picked up some cool stuff from today's chat. Drop a comment below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more awesome content.